is LPH sitting in the center of Andrea and Eunice from Galactic Quest, and these are your resident manga experts. So Miss LPH will be asking some questions.
I know they're going to teach me about
related
manga.
to. Oh, I see.
know nothing about manga.
I don't know if we have that much time.
Oh yeah.
Well, but please do go ahead.
All right, so we got Andrea here, and she's going to tell us first, how do you get into manga?
Well, it started a few different ways. My dad had a few just like random manga in the back when he attempted to, have manga in the store, but he didn't really consume much of it. But I just was addicted and drawn to it, and I just started reading. And from there, it was actually funny. My babysitter introduced it as well through some books and videos and shows, and it just kind of grew from there. As an offspring of comics, it was always in that kind of realm. So I just kind of took my own diverging path from comics to manga.
Now, let me ask, manga or manga? I've heard both pronunciations. Does it matter?
I don't really think it matters too much. I personally go with manga, but I think it just depends on what you feel more comfortable with.
Sort of a tomato thing?
Basically.
Yeah. Okay.
Eunice, how did you get into manga?
Thank you for asking. That's a great question. I think I'd like to say that I started mostly with opening the door with anime first.
Okay.
So, even way back in the YouTube days, I was watching a lot of anime, anywhere from like Inuyasha to Princess Tutu. Some of my favorites are Sugar Sugar Rune, which is like really OG for the viewers. I'm sure some of them can relate to that time period. Andrea and I really enjoy like the magical girl era of anime, and that really spread into my love of reading from middle school, and that spread into the love of reading and the love of anime, and seeing it in a graphic novel point of view was really cool, because not only could you just use your imagination, you're able to see those references, see like the really cool artwork. I was really drawn to the art style of the early 2000s, late 90s, and that was just really fun. So it was mostly just anime and the love of reading going into manga.
Okay, now you said something. So is anime is manga the anime in the book, just like with comic books, is mainly heroes that you really see on TV just in the book form? Is it that?
Yeah, it's very similar to
the same thing?
Okay. Most of it starts off as manga first, right?
Yes. Mostly things start off with the manga and then get basically on TV shows as anime. So. Yeah.
And how accurate is it usually in translation?
It depends.
Because I know Dragon Ball Z, for example, is fairly accurate translating from the book to the show.
Yeah, the main thing is if the storyline is progressed enough, it's very accurate. If, like, for say the anime of the book somehow surpasses the manga, then they might have to make up and have filler episodes to catch up with the book.
Okay.
Which is what happened on Dragon Ball with the fight with Frieza. Which went on for like a month, it seems.
I feel like they Kamehameha all the way up until like the whole rest of the year.
Yeah.
I think it all depends too, with just who is involved with the production, as well as the creative vision for it. I think that really it extends also to how like just movies and like you were mentioning with the comic books, you'll see a lot like comic books. We've seen a lot of people come in who aren't normally traditionally into comic books that come in because they've seen the movie. And sometimes a common question that we get a lot is it as accurate to the comic books as it is to the movies? So I feel like that really is all towards like who's in that creative team, who is producing that anime, who wrote the manga. You know, like Andrew was saying with the fans too, fans have a really big influence, I think, in anime, because sometimes depending on like when the anime was run, and like when they decide to pick it up as a anime after the manga has started, can really impact not only the writers if they're still alive with the manga, depending on the fan base and the reaction, as well as just in general, like Andrew was saying, if they wanted to follow that plot. Because sometimes, you know, depending on like TV shows versus books, it can really all depend, especially with the production of it.
Okay. And then Andrea, you were saying that you started off with comic books and you kind of merged into manga?
Yes. So because I grew up in the comic book store, like literally grew up in the comic book store, we had the kids section that my mom curated and basically pioneered. I would read all the different kids books at that time, but at that time it was mainly skewed more adult, good old boy club, not many books for kids. So when I kind of basically exhausted all that, I shifted to manga and just started reading from there, and just grew to love it.
So you think manga is more of a youth base?
It is absolutely in between. So it is very much so like comics, and in their ratings. So there are manga that are specific for kids, all teens, all ages.
Okay.
And then what we have actually upstairs is there are definitely books for 16 plus. And that's kind of what gives manga a bad rap and is huge in the industry and especially in Japan, is the older 16 plus content with the more lewd aspects, but it is definitely for everyone. You just have to be careful with the rating, do your due diligence, check the back, all that. But we here at Galactic Quest had it separated for all ages to teen, and then we have a whole different section for 16 plus, which is not entirely just lewd, it's also violence, fighting, all that. So it's more like, think Dragon Ball Z, but more extreme, more gory, sometimes more like indie Image Comics. They have more room to explore different aspects and take it a lot further.
Okay. Are you into comic books at all?
I'm just now really getting my foot in the door. I've discovered Gwenpool and I cannot go back. So she is now my new favorite. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun getting to learn more about, you know, comics in general, because you always hear about the two major ones, which is Marvel and DC. But exploring the indie world as well is really cool. I was a big fan of Cowboy Bebop. Growing up, I didn't read the mangas. It's like very hard to find the mangas right now, the OG ones. I'm sure Andrew could. She's so great about finding them. She's a resident manga expert on that end. She can find almost every which manga at this point, but you know, like with Cowboy Bebop, I really enjoyed that. And I just now realized that they're releasing the new Cowboy Bebop comics, and they had some run back, even back when it first started.
Doesn't it have a cartoon? It seems like I've seen a cartoon for Cowboy Bebop, right?
Yeah, that's the that's actually the anime that you're thinking of. It's very fun for people who really enjoy jazz in general as well. It's really great. anime to get your foot in the door. That's one of the first things that I watched through Adult Swim. I would pass out as a kid when in the summertime, and I would just pass out on the couch. I'd wake up at 1 in the morning and I'd hear the classic jazzy intro of Cowboy Bebop, the one that you're thinking of. Be like, oh my gosh, it started. So, that was a big thing into what I really love.
Okay, so what is the age group of do you see buying the mangas?
It is very skewed. I mean, you have kids wanting it, and learning from maybe their siblings or people at school. You have the main core demographic, I would say, would be late teens, early 20s. That is mainly where it is marketed towards. But we even have parents who grew up on it, who are now showing and teaching the next generation about manga and their favorite classics. And they come in the store, they see the books that they grew up on, and get them for their kids so that they can read, or they even watched some anime together and they bonded over it, and so they come into the store and see the manga adaptation and the original source at our store, and are really attached to it.
Okay, great. So we got some unboxings we're going to do of manga books, and we'll start here.
Okay.
And we'll see what you got. Tell us a little bit about the books. Show people what's out there, what's available, and then we'll do something upstairs.
Yes. Okay. Would you like to do the honors?
Oh, great. I get to tear the tape off.
Yeah, I did an easy pull for it.
Thanks.
Yeah, and this is all from a collection, so some of these are out of print that I can't order. So I got some rare finds.
Right. So let's start first. And like I was saying, I'm not that much of an expert. I know Andrea is really great about some of the finds. She's the one that found all of these, and we're really excited about that.
Okay.
So the first one you'll see is Howl's Moving Castle.
They look pretty clean too.
Yeah.
Yeah, she did a great job finding these.
Oh, okay. So, I'm thinking this was all one book. This is 1 through 4.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is 1 through 4.
So it is a manga adaptation of the classic Ghibli movie of Howl's Moving Castle.
Okay.
It's definitely one of my favorites. Howl's Moving Castle. It always competes with me on Spirited Away and Howl's Moving Castle as my two faves within that studio. This one's a slightly different because it actually has freeze frames of the film itself. So it's kind of one of those moments where it's actually almost backwards.
Careful, because that doesn't look like that.
Yeah, I'm not going to open it up too wide because the spine hasn't been broken at all. So,
Yeah.
See, she's learning. She's great.
Yeah.
Well, we get that from the comic experience.
Yeah, because I'm big on comic books. Like I said, I'm new to, this is all new. But I know, and I collect books, period.
Books,
so,
graphic novels, all that.
yeah, I do graphic novels and omnibus.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, these are one of those rare moments where you can actually see it's almost backwards in a way, because Howl's Moving Castle, I believe, was loosely based off of the actual children's fiction or kids fiction novel. The author escapes my mind right now, but it was loosely adapted from the novel and then turned into a film. And now I'm not sure if this manga book came before the film or after. I'm assuming after, because it has freeze frames from the film. But I really enjoy this book series in general, if it's exactly like the movie, because it's just a beautiful story about a woman coming of age, getting comfortable in her skin, as well as finding adventure and romance along the way, and building some really great friends. So this is near and dear to my heart. I really enjoy Sophie. I feel like we all have days where we're feeling like an old, grumpy grandma, and other days we're feeling very youthful. And if you get that reference, that means you've seen the movie, and I don't want to give too much away. So.
Okay. Yeah, I watch anime, some. Some of it I can get into, some of it not so much. Like right now we're watching one called Metropolis.
Oh,
You seen it?
I've heard of it.
Oh, it's good.
Yeah, I've heard of
It's
it.
on Tubi, and it's set in the early 1920s, 30s China.
oh,
No, Japan. Sorry,
Japan.
It's Japan because they had the earthquake in Tokyo, and it's real good. I'm not going to give it away, but I really like that one. It's a 4-part series, so you have 4 1-hour episodes, and then we watched the it wasn't Street Fighter. It was what was that karate one based on a video game we saw?
some
No, it
yeah,
wasn't Mortal Kombat.
You
Yeah,
did
it was
you
Mortal
did watch
Kombat.
Yeah.
It was Mortal Kombat. The
anime.
first 2 movies, the animated movies, and they were pretty good.
I'm a little more old school. I can watch Star Blazers all day.
Yeah, but some of it I've tried to watch, like Dragon Ball Z. I can't do that. It's too fast paced.
You
Oh,
need to
Dragon
watch
Ball
the first series where Goku's a kid.
Yeah, Dragon Ball.
Yeah,
Yeah.
regular Dragon Ball, not Z.
Oh,
Because
okay.
that's I think that's really their best writing is in the first series.
It's very beautiful. I like how cute it is. Okay. All right. We have some of
Okay,
these.
Kitchen Princess, and this is how many books? We got
We have
4 books.
4 of those, yep.
Yes.
Okay.
It's basically the classic romance, kind of fluff,
Uh-huh.
feel good, yeah, which really defined this era.
Yes. I really enjoy the art style.
Mm-hmm. And they seem to have all the same style art. So when you see, even in Batman the animated series, as it progressed and got to like season 2, later in season 2, you saw the art style change, and it's that anime style of drawing. So you can always see that.
While we're still talking about Studio Ghibli, I wanted
Okay.
to also show you some of these.
Okay, this one is a 4-part series. I'll show them. Castle in the Sky.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think was one of the first ones that the Studio Ghibli did.
I'm not too sure. I do know it was around the same time as Spirited Away and Howl's Moving Castle. I've heard a rumor, I wasn't too sure, that Castle in the Sky was supposed to be a continuation of sorts to, I believe, Howl's Moving Castle, but it does not have the same original characters. I'm not sure if it was because it was the sequel in the kids' fiction novel, possibly, or within the same realm, I believe. But really cool characters. It's about a young couple that just kind of have a lot of adventure in the sky. They find a castle in the sky. Pretty self-explanatory on that end, and everything else is pretty much going to be a spoiler, so I'm not going to go too into it
Okay.
for the people who still want to watch it.
And then we have, what's this? Baron the Cat Returns. Byron the Cat Returns.
Baron.
Yeah.
Baron.
That
Andrew,
one.
would you like to talk?
Yeah. If I recall, this is basically she finds this cat statue that comes to
Oh,
life.
this is in black and white.
Yep.
Mhm.
And she kind of transforms into a cat and just goes on all kinds of fun adventures, and then she comes back and is a human again.
Oh, okay.
It's like a cute little neko,
Yeah.
neko cat in Japanese, little world. It's very beautiful. The animation is very fun, and the characters are very like lighthearted, but really great moralistic lessons,
Okay.
especially about friendship.
Oh yeah.
Let's dive into some more. Speaking of magical girl eras, there's a
Have
couple
you
of these
seen a
movies.
change in the manga styles? So when did you get into it?
I got into it when I was like 5 years old. So
Right. So
was
it's
early
been a lot of
2000s,
years.
yeah.
So from like, let's say the early 2000s to now, is there been a big change in like the writing style, the content style? Oh, hold on. And this book is six parts. Full moon. Okay.
Yeah. Well, this was one of my favorites as a child. It's basically this young lady who has medical issues. She has a throat problem, And basically these Shinigamis come and they grant her a wish, so she actually becomes older, because she wasn't sure if she could actually grow up, because her main thing was she wanted to be a pop star. So they fixed her voice, made her grow up, and so she can shift in and out of her actual age to like her pop star age, and it's basically finding herself, living the life she wants to live, and finding happiness in being herself and not always having to be the pop star image that she thought she wanted.
Okay.
So it's a lot of fun.
That sounds interesting.
Oh yeah, it's a really, really good classic.
Okay.
Touches on some heavy stuff, but also has romance.
And this one is also black and white.
Yeah, so manga is traditionally black and white.
Yeah.
Oh, is it? Okay, okay.
Yeah. Very few are in color.
It does happen from time to time.
Yeah.
Right. The first two.
Yeah, because these are adaptations from the movie.
Oh, okay.
And they actually take screenshots of the movie film. But traditionally it is black and white. Sometimes you'll have like adaptions where they do color it, or splash pages, like in the first few pages it's just color, and then goes back into black and white.
Okay. But to the question.
Yes. The question, yeah. So I grew up on the girly romance, so that was where I was skewed towards. There were obviously like Dragon Ball and other classics that are more fighting, but I've definitely noticed that it is skewing towards more of the shonen side, which is more of the action fighting, fast-paced nature of the comics and manga. But there are still some books that are romance-based. They're just not as popular.
Okay.
I think mainly because with this romance slice of life aspect, there's not many avenues you can go down. It's boy meets girl,
Yeah.
fall in love.
Yeah.
There's only so many ways you can tell that story.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Even though it's near and dear to my heart, they're very similar. With the shonen and more action-based, I mean, like, you can go down any path, and there's a lot more to explore. So that's probably why it's shifting towards that.
Yeah.
But there's always a niche for the fluffy romance that can be kind of predictable, but feel good. So
Yeah, because I know I read romance comics, and like you said, it's all the same. I mean, you know, the boy meets girls, and a lot of cheating in there, and you know, she
Yeah,
took
the
my
romance
man.
comics is a lot of tragedy.
Yeah, but it's basically the same. You got two plots: either they get together, or somebody steals somebody else's girl.
yeah.
Those are the two plots, and that's the only direction it seems like it ever goes.
That's why I like the new Disney princesses, because they really focus more about like the connection with friends and family, and they may even put in romance in there sometimes, but it's more based on, you know, like morals and as well as friendship, coming of age stories, because a lot of those slice of life, or I believe I may be butchering it, but like soju. No, that's something different.
That's alcohol.
But
that's alcohol.
Shoju.
Yeah. The slice of life, and sometimes they'll, you know, add a bit of fantasy in there, like some of the ones that we'll show you today, as well as more that we'll have in stock that Andrew was able to find, the ones that are out of print and circulation. Those are the ones that have those variations where it is slice of life, that romance aspect. They're typically like a younger heroine within the story that will stumble upon or be found by you know, their love interest. But I do like the fact that they are transitioning into like touching base on what Andrew was saying earlier about the evolution of manga as well as anime in general. I feel like there's a lot more people that are vocal about what they like versus back then it was more probably either letters to the publisher. Now everything's more virtual, instant reactions based on fans, as well as like not fans, you know, that give their 2 cents. And that really is able to open up the doors of different type of mangas that you'll see. I'm more of like a slice of life type gal, but I do occasionally really enjoy some of those like convoluted ones. Some of them are like Assassination Classroom, where it's like, you know, there's an alien. For example, the synopsis is there's an alien in Japan, and the Japanese government decides to have a school, a group of, I believe, kindergartners or like elementary to middle school age, where they are trained assassins that are meant to assassinate the teacher who teaches them how to kill off aliens to help better off the planet, I believe is the plot. I didn't finish it, which some people will probably be outraged for, but I didn't fully finish it. There's even some darker ones that are within that range that Andrew was talking about, like Death Note, Chainsaw Man.
Yeah, Chainsaw Man's pretty dark. Anything Junji Ito.
Yeah.
I mean, he is the horror king.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So they do have like a horror genre within anime.
Oh, yeah.
You got horror, you got the romance like you talked about, and then other ones. I'm thinking about comic books and how they change. Like you have in comics, I know you have like crime stories, true crimes. They have that in anime also. Okay.
Yeah,
So
so
cool to this spot.
there are basically any genre you want. It's
Okay.
there. So-
Now another question I have, because mainly when I see anime, it's all animation. Do they have live action?
So they do have live action, but the issue with that is that a lot of the fans.
And we just leave this here because the bottom of the box is gonna open.
They get real upset about that. I remember
Yeah.
the live action version of Full Metal Alchemist. I once said that I didn't think it was that bad, and I got creamed for even suggesting it. That, you know, visually it wasn't that bad. You know, I didn't even say anything about the story, and they just tore into me. And it's like, all right, what do you want them to do?
Speaking
I know.
of,
Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. That makes me actually like chuckle because Cowboy Bebop
gonna
is
say
one of
Cowboy
those
Bebop.
examples. You know, I was even mentioning it myself. I got into Cowboy Bebop. It was one of my favorite animes growing up. And therefore I was a huge fan. And then because Cowboy Bebop is basically cowboy or like space cowboys, mostly it follows a group of bounty hunters within space. And how do you recreate that in a world where we can't really film out into space? And
Well,
do
it also
exactly that?
doesn't translate. A lot of times you have a book, it doesn't, or if it's an animation, when they try to turn that into a live action, it doesn't translate well. It's not the same.
Yeah, and I see that in like the superhero movies. I think a lot of them come off better as an animation to me. Some of them do because of the things that they do in the book and the things that you see on the animation.
It's not realistic, and then when you see it in a realistic ratio,
exactly.
it doesn't feel right.
Yeah, because
That's
you
why-
got to use so much CGI.
People
will
say
say-
that about what was it, the Batman 4? Is it Batman Forever
I didn't
with
see that.
George Clooney? Everybody hates that Batman. Go read a Silver Age Batman and tell me that it doesn't look just like that. But you know, what do you want them to do? It doesn't look right.
I will say about Cowboy Bebop, a lot of the contradictions I feel, it, like for instance, the main characters, I have so many thoughts about it. I'm not going to go into them today, but I will say that they did their absolute best, especially with the training team of Terran Tactical, I believe in California. They did a phenomenal job training the
Okay.
actual cast on how to properly hold guns, how to do these live action fights, because a lot of Cowboy Bebop has a lot to do with physical combat. And although the characters, a lot of people I heard feedback were unhappy with the casting, happy with the casting. Some were happy with the outfits, some were not happy with the outfits. I have my own thoughts on it, but I'm sure the viewers will have a fun time in the comments discussing that. I'd love to see that myself. But I really enjoyed the combat aspect because I think for what they tried to do, they did really drive home that aspect of the fighting. Everything else was, I think, creative liberties, and I kind of view it like almost like the multiverse in Marvel, where in order to appreciate the artistic freedom that I think they had at Netflix, I feel like I view it more as like a multiverse of someone's creative interpretation of such a classic. Because you're never gonna get the full classic unless we get to actually go into space and film, which would be really great. But yeah, it's just a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun seeing that creative aspect.
I think to note, and one of the key aspects of the issue of trying to make it live action versus anime is the stylization. It's very hard to, have the energy or the main key, which is the proportions. Anime is very cartoony, very expressive. It's very hard to have that on an actual human.
You're right.
Because like the eyes are larger usually, or the proportions are smaller in some areas, and you could like in Battle Angel Lita, they did make her eyes a little bigger. Some people think that's weird and look too strange or too CGI. So it's very hard to get the manga style and feel in a live action.
Yeah, and that's a good point, because I think about the ones that I have seen, and when you have like the running scenes or the jumping scenes, and then the background is all blurred, and that helps add to like, okay, this is how fast they're going, or it just gives an impact, and with the animation you can get that. But on a live action screen, that's going to be lost, and they have very animated face. When they have emotion, it's very animated. The eyes are already big. It gets super big, and the expressions and stuff like that. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, so we got Kingdom Hearts. Now, I thought Kingdom Hearts was a video game with Mickey Mouse.
It is. So
that's the only time I've ever seen it as a video game. I didn't know it was a book.
Yep. So basically, they took the video games and the storylines and made it into manga, and even expanded on that. We have a little bit more here. Kingdom Hearts. So it's basically different, like video games plots, or even just manga only plots. So.
Okay.
The OG Avengers.
Basically. So that is a classic.
Okay.
If you're not good at video games like I am, you can just read it.
Just read the video game. So is that a Disney production? Because Mickey Mouse and everybody else is in it. So I thought it was a Disney video game.
Yeah, so they basically teamed up with Square Enix and Tokyo Pop. So they have the classic Disney characters, and basically added an anime character to that.
Okay.
And so it's basically the Sora and some of the other characters are new that they added to explore the different worlds.
And this is like an American book, because see, it's on the the regular side instead of backwards like the other books were.
Traditional.
Yeah. And I have and they got a bunch of action figures and stuff for that now.
Yeah. There's a lot of merchandising.
Yeah. That's why I knew it was heavy on Disney, so I thought, I never thought it was a book. Clarkson, Alice.
Yes, Gakuen Alice is one of my favorites. This is actually the one that I'm really excited about. Andrea actually called last night and I was like geeking out so hard. I believe that this is out of print as well, so it's a little bit harder to find. So yes, hats off to Andrea for finding it. I personally really love this one. I watched, this is one of the first YouTube animes that I watched, and it really made an impression on me. Just to give a brief synopsis, it's about a girl who has a best friend in a special academy in Japan, and she ends up basically following that best friend, gets enrolled, and starts living her life. It's more slice of life with a little bit of a twist. You get to learn more about the school and what's actually really going on in the school. So it has a very lighthearted feel, but also a moralistic feel as well, of like the struggle between right and wrong, as well as the power of friendship and a coming of age story. So it's really a beautiful story. She just has a really great time, and who doesn't love just hanging out with friends and having an adventure?
So do you see a lot of speculation with the mangas, like you do with comics? I know they don't have as many TV shows and movies coming out, but you know, like in comics, you even breathe that it might be a TV show or a movie, and the price of the book goes to like $1 million. Is that
right
the same?
up until it comes out bombs?
Is that the same in manga?
I'm still kind of diving into the out of print rare stuff. Because what I primarily order is the things I can obviously obtain through our ordering systems. But there are definitely the niche mangas that people have been wanting for years. They grew up on. I can't order anymore. So though, depending on how rare it is, it can be slightly elevated.
Okay.
For me, the big booms are when a book kind of first comes out, people start reading it, they're like, oh, this is really good. Like, I love this premise. Like, Chainsaw Man and Spy Family were one of the two that really started as a manga. Fans just got attached and addicted to, and then they released it as an anime, and so I try to kind of see what is coming out and see what shows are being mentioned of coming out, even if it's like a year in advance. I'll start to order the mangas for it, so that the early adapters can read it and love it, and then the people who heard about it, see the trailers and all that, can get a head start of the manga.
Okay.
And kind of like learn more before they watch the anime. So
also I want to say too, social media is a very interesting playing factor into it. I often hear the joke, I think we all do it in the shop, where people come in, they'll find out that we have sometimes out of print or out of circulation older books where they were kind of like us growing up. We were drawn to specific genres or specific titles, and they'll see that we have it, and there'll be like a flash of like childhood memory, and then they'll say the tagline, usually like, people with adult money, and they're buying like their childhood items that they may not have been able to afford or even think about buying back in the day when they were younger.
Kidults.
Yes, it's like one of my favorites because you see the joy on their face, and it's like it's Christmas morning all over again. And then social media sometimes, like even with like 2020 when everyone was at home, everyone was online. People were digging up things that they normally weren't even digging up in their house, like spring cleaning. They'll jog their memories, and then they'll start seeking out different things to, go back into that hobby that maybe they weren't able to growing up. And so that's really cool. Social media too, like you'll see something go viral, and then everyone will start looking for that thing.
We have two more series. We have one of my favorites, Shigechara, which is another kind of high school anime girl
And this one has 7.
So she basically can change into different magical girl powers, depending on what situation she's in. And it's definitely a friendship based manga anime with the main characters. They have their fights and their issues, but at the end they become friends and realize that they are better together, friends. They talk about their differences, and yeah, it's becoming, you know, a huge friendship kind of anime where, yeah, they're lifelong friends now through the different like battles that they have to go through in fighting. So it's a lot of fun.
And their outfits are always really cute.
Oh yeah.
I think I've seen people dress as this character. Because, you know, we go to a lot of shows and you have the cosplayers. And a lot of them are dressed as anime. You can kind of tell, but I'm like, I don't know who that character is.
Even when you know who it is, you can't tell sometimes.
Yeah.
It can be hard because a lot of the characters are very similar in style.
Yeah.
So you're like, I'm not sure if you're doing this one or that one. This is my OG favorite. This is the one that got me into manga.
Okay.
I was just watching this morning.
Like when I discovered this in the collection, I absolutely lost my mind. So these are one of the original formatted books of Cardcaptor Sakura. Absolutely legendary manga, classic OG. She is, I think, like a middle school girl who goes into the basement of her father's house and opens up a book, and out comes a bunch of cards flying and this fuzzy little cat stuffed animal.
Oh, so
And
cute.
basically she becomes a magical girl from there. She has to collect the cards and she becomes Cardcaptor Sakura. There's even a rival person from China that comes over to Tokyo, which is the other main character. They battle it out sometimes, and then they realize that they actually like each other. So it's kind of like enemies to lovers kind of vibe. But amazing manga about friendship, romance, finding who you are. It hits everything, and it's just amazing. Like the outfits, a lot of manga will have the same outfits because it's easier to animate and all that. This was different.
Okay.
Every outfit she had for her situation was kind of based on what she was battling, because like her best friend was a seamstress who created her outfits, so the fashion is amazing.
Okay.
So
Yeah, it was really fun.
Okay, so now we're going to go upstairs and we're going to see what they have in the store and talk about that a little bit.
Okay.
Okay, and we are in the front of the store, and this is what? What are we looking at?
So this is the first manga section that you'll see, which is geared towards more all ages teen. We have it all in alphabetical order, so we can start off with the classics of Bleach, which is now getting another season, and then the other hit, Demon Slayer, which was all the rage when it came out. I think it won a couple awards, like the anime won like stylization awards and all that. And then of course we have Dragon Ball Z, the classic. So yeah, this is basically what you first see when you walk in.
Okay. And this is anime too?
This is actually a mix of like webtoon, independent, comic style books for teens. So this is our teen section.
Okay. All right. Okay.
This is the continuation of what is up in the front. So we have D, E, F. So we have the Fairy Tale, Full Metal Alchemist. So this is basically the continuation of the young adult teen section. We have IQ, which was huge, about boys playing volleyball and learning friendship. We have another good one that's kind of new, Mashal. It's basically Harry Potter with muscles.
Got some classics like Naruto.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen Naruto, before. Not read it, but I've seen that name, and I know that's kind of big and major.
Yeah, we got One Punch Man, Orange Host Club,
Fruits Basket. Absolutely Fruits Basket.
Tokyo Mew Mew, Fruit Basket, Sailor Moon.
Call Me. Can't communicate.
Do y'all order? Like if I came in, hey, I'm looking for this book, and then you don't have it, would you order it?
We do try to. Depending, of course, how old it is, if I can order it,
Right.
anything like that, if it's available. We do occasionally do special orders.
Okay.
So, and then this is our box set section and other hardcovers. We have Berserk, which is huge right now. JoJo's, which is one of my favorites.
JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. We see the statues for that all the time because we show the statues. We were trying to figure out, was that we knew it's anime, of course, but is it a TV show or what? We never could figure it out.
Yeah, it's a manga that adapted to an anime, and it is absolutely crazy but amazing, and I love the characters.
The statues look so bizarre. It made us wanna find out, what it is, and if it is a show, to watch it, just because we seen the statues, and the statues look crazy.
Yeah, I want to get the statues. That's my goal. But yeah, no, JoJo's is amazing. It's basically you travel around. You have different stand powers, which is basically superpowers. You fight these crazy like villains. It's just absolutely wacky, bizarre, everything. But it is so amazing, and you just fall in love with these characters.
Okay. And we're going back over here to some more books, I see.
So this is our kind of more mature reader, 16 plus section. So a little bit more violence, a little bit more edgy.
Okay.
Kind of like our indie equivalent. So you can push the boundaries a little bit more, like with Attack on Titan, which is basically giant. Kind of naked people running around trying to get the humans. So, or Call in the Night, which is a vampire story. Death Note, great classic.
Now with anime, do you pre-order that? Like, because does it come out like once a month, and then you got to come in and pre-order yours for next month?
So I order based on when I see it in the catalog. It can be very varied when things come out. So I'll usually order what's currently in the catalog, and then even do a deep dive and get my peak was 600 pounds of manga. So I will do the regular orders, and then I will deep dive, figure out what I'm missing, what people want from the past, or like the different holes I might have in the shelves, and just go crazy. And yeah, I did actually order 600 pounds of manga. I made a throne out of the boxes. It was amazing.
It was wonderful.
Crazy.
Okay, and this is your feature of the month?
Yep, so this is a One Piece, since the 1,000?
I think it's like the 100th.
100.
Wow.
Yeah, 100th volume, but like 1,000th episode came out. Some huge mile marker in the industry. Like, it is one of the top longest running stories. So,
And some of the most beloved series of all time.
Okay. And yeah, we got some back
Yep.
here. Now this look more like a romancy.
Yeah.
These three.
yeah, so these are our webtoon section,
Yeah.
which is not exactly manga, but manga-esque. So some of it might be manhwa, which is from like Korean, or just like indie artists throughout the world.
Okay, so manga is basically Japanese.
Japanese.
Okay, I'm thinking it's all Asian.
Yep.
No.
Okay. So if I'm
it's
Korean,
tradition,
looking at
yeah.
some Korean book, it's not manga.
No, well,
Okay.
it's manga, but pronounced manhwa.
Okay.
So it's a different kind of word for
It's
it.
kind of like how they tell you it's not really champagne if it wasn't produced in France.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that's why a lot of people are like very iffy about certain cartoons that are very anime themed and feel,
Right.
but produced in the States. So they're like, it's not an anime, it's a cartoon. So it's basically whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
But
okay.
The origin comes from Japan for manga and manhwa for Korean. So
Okay. Good.
Mhm.
Okay.
Some
Then.
beautiful graphic novels across the board. for the
Yeah.
most part, but
yep,
just
like
called
Spy
different
Family,
things.
amazing. I can tell you the plot of that. It's great. He's a spy. Lloyd's a spy. Then you have the child who is a telepath, and then I think even in the volume here, if I can find her, is the mom, and she's an assassin.
Yeah.
So they don't know that each other secrets, but obviously the child knows, and it's crazy, amazing, funny.
It's like a Mr. and Mrs. Smith of sorts, but with an adopted kid and thrown into the mix. It's a lot of fun.
And then we got some anime or manga style toys.
Yeah, so these are our statues. So basically, they bring them to life. You can have them on your wall. It's similar to like the comic book statues that you would have.
Yeah.
These are cool. These are Gundam. They're basically cooler Legos that you can pose and put together from the classic Gundam series anime. Also amazing.
Okay. And what we have over here.
More statues, basically. We have some in boxes and some out in display that you can actually see what's in the box and see the quality in the poses and all that. So.
And these are all up for sale as well.
Okay.
But we've definitely displayed some crowd favorites from various different